So, as always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and would everyone please rise? Frida, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're very honored and pleased to have a very special guest with us this evening, and that's Ann Wagner, who's running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. And you know, her candidacy, I think, has been identified as one of the top newcomers nationally. I mean, it's just it's an incredible campaign. It's attracting a lot of attention, and we're just very pleased and honored that you've done this. And so I say thank you. Without further ado, I present Ann Wagner.
Thank you. It's been such a blessing to me. It's such a help in all of this, not only serving as mayor, but as committee man, and then also serving as chairman of the St. Louis County Central Committee, which is a big deal. It's a big task, and someone who's been involved for almost 2 decades in politics and public service. I know what a big job it is. He also serves as treasurer as the Ann Wagner for Congress campaign. So that's, I think, his greatest title, and I appreciate him a great deal. Appreciate his son Colin's work. He's serving his country at West Point right now. My son Raymond just surprised his mother and flew in. Raymond graduated West Point in May. He's down at Fort Benning, and he just graduated airborne school this morning and is off to Rangers next week. And they gave him a pass for the weekend because of the president's holiday. And so my baby's here. So He's going to be a strong infantryman, and is my oldest of 3 children. And the reason I'm running for Congress is because of him, and because of all of our children and grandchildren. It is just absolutely, well, we have a government that is ripped us of our freedoms and is mortgaging their future, and it's time that we take our country back. I'm a grassroots girl from way back when, and I want to recognize Frida, and you're stepping up. Kathleen Ferris served, I know, as committee woman here for a lot of years, didn't she? Yes. And Frida, it's really marvelous. I brought her some flowers. I said my very first, I served as Lafayette Township committee woman for 9 years, and my very first meeting, I remember someone brought me flowers, and so it's marvelous that you're doing this, and we thank you, very much for your service. And it's really about what these townships do and what you're getting ready to do in terms of the caucuses, in terms of how you're going to take back this country, and what we're going to do in the elections of 2012. I grew up and have a business background. I'm the daughter and granddaughter of small business entrepreneurs in the 2nd District and in this area. I went on to business school, served and worked at Hallmark Cards in Kansas City, Ralston Purina here. Had a good depth and background in business before I jumped into politics and public service. I think it might be nice to have a member of Congress who can read a P&L and has made a payroll and has balanced a budget and all of those kinds of good things. But it was John Ashcroft that brought us to the dance, my husband and I, in his 2nd term as governor in the late 80s, and have been involved at multiple levels, serving as party chairman, co-chairman of the National Party, served as United States Ambassador for 4 years. Left that post and came back and felt like socialism had followed me back across the pond, and decided that I was fed up and was going to jump in and put my own name on the yard sign for the first time ever. So I'm a first-time candidate for office. It is going well, and Rich and so many others have been very, very supportive. We filed with the FEC back in April 26th, so it's almost been 10 months, and we've been just driving it fast and hard and strong all the way through. And it's about events like this. It's about the grassroots tabletops that we're doing in so many homes across the district. The new 2nd District basically takes in about 560,000 in St. Louis County, about 1/3 of St. Charles, and a small little nugget of Jefferson County, 40,000. So it's swung back in from pretty far out west. So it is a metro district, and is one that is the economic engine of our state, and one that's very important, I think, for for the future of this region and our state and country. So, you know, we're working and fighting every single day, whether it's fighting for our families, our traditional values, our job creators. I meet with them and talk with them on a continual basis, and they are dying in a sea of uncertainty right now. Uncertainty about their taxes, uncertainty about their health care costs, about their energy costs. The over-regulation is just, well, it's just killing any kind of job growth. And, you know, if they can't pass it legislatively, like they did with Obamacare, which needs to be repealed, and will be one of the very first measures that we'll take up, they backdoor it through EPA or Energy or Labor or HUD or USDA, or, I mean, it's just the alphabet soup of federal agencies that need to be reined back in. This latest discussion that we've seen, this assault on the First Amendment rights, on our religious freedoms, is just one of many, many after effects of Obamacare, that if we do not do something about this, it is going to come weekly. And this last one is an assault, I think, on our values and on our First Amendment rights at all levels. So we're fighting hard and working hard, and I believe that I really do, and I've stood before groups like this and so many over so very many years and talked about, you know, this is the most important election of our lifetime. This one I think really is. It's about who we're going to be as a nation and a people. We need systemic change. We need strong leaders who are going to stand in the gap between the people and their government and say enough is enough, and not just nibble around the edges of spending. Make the kind of systemic changes that must be made. Over $15 trillion of debt. When we're at 100% of GDP, we are Greece without the rights. You know, I mean, it's just it's broken, and we need strong leaders, strong and effective conservative leaders to go to Washington to get something done, and that's what we're hoping to do. So, as Rich mentioned, we've gotten a lot of exposure. This is the only open seat in Missouri, this new 2nd district, and it's one that Todd Aiken represented for a number of years, and needs to stay in our Republican column, and is one that will be a key target. We don't know who our Democratic opponent is just yet. Russ Carnahan is making some big noise about this seat, and he'll either run against Lacey Clay in the 1st, or he's going to run out here in the 2nd district. And either way, I think we'll put an end to his reign. But I hope he runs out in this district, and I hope we beat him and beat him soundly. So we'll wait and see what that brings. Filing should open up here in another week or so, and we should have a few more things that manage their way out. We're raising the resources to get our message out. We're doing the grassroots events all over the district. We opened up a brand new headquarters about a month and a half ago. Is that right, Whitney? Whitney Savage Way. Whitney's got information in the back too if you want to get involved. Whitney will tell you, you know, where, when, and how, and what. And we opened the headquarters. It's at 14551 Manchester Road. It's basically on Manchester, a little bit west of Baxter. It was the old Manchester Police Substation. And it's got, well, you've been in the space. It's got great space for phone banks, for volunteer activities. Since we opened up the doors, we've had volunteers every single day. A lot of young people. It really is gratifying and exciting to see. So, so I think on all counts we're doing well. We're all getting ready to head to Lincoln Days in Kansas City this year. Over 800 people, the biggest they've ever had, and it's a testament to people, you know, who are fed up and want to do what they can to be activists and involved. And it starts at the township level. That's why where I began my service and work. It's neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, the kind of work that Frida's doing with MOB, the kind of real voter contact, voter turnout. It's wonderful if Beth agrees with everything I say and supports me, but if I don't turn around on election day, it's all for naught. And that's the work that you're going to do. And I thank you for that work that you're doing, and we'll do to take our country back in November. The number one thing we have to do is elect a new president. The number two thing we have to do is put an end to the reign of Claire McCaskill, the United States Senate. And I think we're going to have a strong opponent to do so. And we have to keep the 2nd district here in the Republican column and do what we can to courthouse up and down the statewide ticket to elect good, strong conservatives to stand and serve. So I'm happy to take a few questions. And then I'm going to take my dear son out for his first warm meal that's not an MRE in weeks. So, yes, sir.
We hear an awful lot on the economic order about curing symptoms of the problem. Almost nowhere do we hear anybody talking about the causes of our problems. Could you give me some insights into what some of the causes of our economic problems are and how you would address it?
Well, it's spending. A government that is out of control, that doesn't understand what their constitutional rights are, which are the safety and welfare of this country, and yeah, we have whole federal agencies that whether it's education, energy, that need to be disbanded. I mean, we've got to limit the power at the federal level, stop the spending, and I mean not just stop the rate thereof. We need to really make systemic cuts in things, and so I would say the borrowing, break up the government's credit card, balance the budget. You know, every household has had to cut back and balance their own budgets. Every successful business across this country has had to do that, and even the state, many, unless you're California or New Jersey or Illinois, we're balancing our budget here too, and that means tough choices, and that's what has to happen at the federal level. I mean, my goodness, they talk about it, but still, this last budget. And it's Republicans and Democrats alike that have been guilty of this over the years. I mean, absolutely it has been. And that is a #1 thing that has got to be done, along with really growing our economy. And I think that there are things that can be done that are outside of the government stimulus spending and growing government to actually grow our economy.
Could the nature of our money be the cause of the problem?
Could our what?
Could the nature of our money be the cause of our problem?
Well, you know, whether we're tied to the gold standard, whether we're tied to, I mean, you know, I don't know that it's the nature of our money. I think what we really have to do is lower our tax rate and have major tax reform, close loopholes, stop with the government picking winners and losers, and anything that's 70,000 pages and takes 2 tax attorneys and lawyers in order to get through, when 47% of Americans aren't paying anything, and in fact, a large percentage of those are getting a rebate of some kind. I mean, it's broken. There's no ownership. There's no skin in the game. There's no, and that's got to stop. So I think you're going to see real tax reform. I think you're going to see entitlement reform. I think you're going to see major spending cuts. If we're really serious about getting our fiscal house in order, a balancing of the federal budget. I'm not going to say it's all going to happen on day one, but if we get reinforcements in Congress and a new leader at the White House, those are the kinds of things that I think we're going to see. And we've got to limit the power and the involvement of the federal government. We just absolutely do. And all government closest to the people is best. And I don't care whether it's in the areas of education, whether it's in the areas of Medicaid, whatever it is, the government at the federal level has no business being involved in a whole lot of what they're doing right now. Yes, sir.
I was reading your brochure on small business. A little bit about my background. I spent the first 30 years in business with big corporations. The last 15 years I was an entrepreneur. I've sold off them. We don't need a tax break. We need a loan. And if you ever had an experience going to a bank, starting in 2007 to 2009 or 2010, I sold in 2010. It was the biggest disaster around. I hired people because I'm growing my business. I don't need a tax break to hire people. I need the bank to lend money, and they weren't lending money.
That's right. It's completely jammed up. There's a ton of capital on the side. I don't care whether you're a small business owner, a medium-sized business owner, whether you're someone just trying to buy a house, okay, whatever it is, it's just impossible to get those loans. We see it loosening up a little bit now, but really it's still very, very tight because of the uncertainty. They don't know, what's going to happen and what the future holds. And you are absolutely right. You don't grow your business, you don't hire somebody because the government gives you a tax credit for an employee or a payroll tax deduction, which again is temporary. These aren't things you can count on. Uncertainty, sometimes the devil you know is better than uncertainty. And the uncertainty that is in our economic environment right now is awful. And things like Sarbanes-Oxley and Dodd-Frank and other things have just added to that over-regulatory burden that banks and our financial institutions are dealing with. And you're right. I worked alongside my father from the age of 12 at his small carpet stores out in West County, and I know what it means to have the government on the backs of hardworking people trying to make a living. I watched him fight it during the Carter era, the 70s and early 80s even too. I will tell you it was tough and tough going at every single level. And you learn a lot as a shopkeeper's daughter, and whether it's the value of a dollar, hard work ethic, honesty and integrity in your personal and professional life, a lot of things, but government needs to move out of the way and let our economic free enterprise system flourish and reign. And the banks have got to start lending, and people need to take on employees because their government grows, or pardon me, because their business grows, not because the government's artificially involved. So.
It got so bad because my vendors wanted to be paid quicker. My customers extended me out, and I went to the bank, and the bank, we're looking at it, and he says, well, make the vendors pay them slower. I said, then they're going to cut me off. He said, make your customers pay you quicker. I said, Anheuser-Busch and BJC and SSM aren't going to pay me quicker.
Right.
Their solution, this is the banker, said, well, you only got one thing you can do is cut people. You're growing your business, and he says, cut your payroll.
Terrible. Yeah, un-American needs.
There's no question about it.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. Yeah.
And we send people to Washington, and we think they're good people. They probably are good people. But once they're there, we never hear another word from them.
Yeah, well, that's wrong.
Why don't they come out and tell us what they're doing, what they stand for, how they feel about all these things that are going on? You just never hear another word from them.
Well, I don't plan on living in Washington, D.C. In fact, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I spent 4 years doing that. Baldwin, Missouri is my home, and I'm not, I obviously have got to stay there and do the work that needs to be done, but we're going to set up permanent offices, and Rich has heard me talk about this, permanent offices in not just the federal legislative offices, but also a political operation here that will be sustained, and not one that packs up and moves on at the end of a campaign, one that actually will have a permanent presence here for the kind of work that you're doing and that you're doing at the township level, for voter contact, phone banks, ID work, candidate recruitment, a place to meet and gather. So we plan on having a very strong presence in the community. We have done dozens and dozens and dozens of grassroots tabletops. I'd love to do one at your homes, all over the district. We're out morning, noon, and night at, we've crossed paths a million times with many of you in this room. That's how you learn and how you represent a district. And oftentimes it comes from not just telling folks what you're going to do, it comes from listening. And sometimes we need legislators that will actually listen to the people too. So, yes, yeah.
I was wondering if you could elaborate, or if you've heard the movement for the national popular vote seems to be gaining momentum.
Yeah.
And there's 8 states that have already passed it, and because they couldn't get it through the Congress, now they're working to reach individual states. And then today there was an article in the Post that our people in Missouri have introduced a bill.
I think it'll get killed. I believe in the Electoral College.
These are Republicans that are introducing it.
Yes, well, write your legislators, all I can
did,
tell you. And you should. And, especially a state like Missouri, I believe in our founding principles. I believe in the Electoral College. I believe in the system that we have,
Well, what was really alarming is they hired Fred Thompson, if you guys haven't who's a staunch Republican, and he's the voice to get the national popular vote. I don't understand.
Find out what he's getting paid. I'll tell you, I'm not pleased with it at all, and I'm not for it at all. And have made that, when I ran for chairman of the Republican National Committee, I fought Solonuzis on that in a very large way. No, it's not what our founders intended. It's not the system, and it certainly doesn't serve a state like Missouri. We'll never see people again.
Exactly.
They'll be on the east and west coast, you know, where the huge populations are. I mean, talk about lack of representative government across the republic. I mean, it's just, you know. So no, it's not something. Yes, sir.
Hi. Assuming you win, what committees will you be interested in working on?
I never like to put the old cart before the horse. We'll see. Small business, obviously, I have a great interest in. I have background in foreign affairs. I can and defense. I'd love to be on budget, you know, to be honest, and really make the tough decisions that I think someone like I can make in going to Washington. I have no aspirations but to serve the 2nd Congressional District, to do it in a term-limited fashion, you know, come back after a period of time and hopefully bounce grandbabies on my knee and we'll have served and done. If you do it in the right order, young man, yes, and have served. And in a time when I think, since the founding of our country, this is one of the most important times to go to Washington and to make those tough choices. But this is not a I don't intend to be a lobbyist on K Street. I don't intend to. I mean, I want to serve the district and you know, and stay grounded and rooted here. Yes.
And that lawsuit that's pending, should it go adversely in a way, does that materially change the map of your district?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Today there were oral arguments before the Supreme Court. Carnahan, well, and really the Kansas City side of things have been fighting the congressional maps. They've been fighting all maps, and frankly, you know, I think the redistricting process is a legislative and political process, and the courts need to stay out of it. I think they kind of think they should too at this point in time, unless there's a violation of the Voting Rights Act, which there has not been in any way, shape, or form. They've lost. The plaintiffs and the other side have lost now 3 times, and they just lost again in circuit court. A 3rd time 2 weeks ago, after the Supreme Court sent it down for a little bit of fact-finding, shot down 3 of their rulings, but said on the issue of compactness that they wanted the court to do some more fact-finding. Oral arguments for today before the Supreme Court. I think our lawyers thought that things went very, very well. If the Supreme Court upholds the map as it stands right now, the district that I explained to you, then that's it. They have nowhere else to go. If they don't, for whatever reason, we'll probably end up in federal court. Or their one remedy, they could send it back to the General Assembly, but then we'll end up in federal court. They could take out a pen and actually make some changes over in Jackson County that if they think something needs to be done, they can do that. But regardless, even if I think they'll uphold it, but if they don't, you never know at the end of the day what the Supreme Court will do. But if they don't, I don't think you can draw a 2nd district that Ann Wagner doesn't win. And I just don't, because at the end of the day, Russ Carnahan is going to, I believe that they'll have to leave the city of St. Louis intact. And that's where he lives. And they're going to have they can make it less Republican leaning, the 2nd district, they truly can. But I think it's one that we'll be able to manage quite well, especially with the 10-month head start that we've had, and the close to $1.5 million that I have raised already. So, yeah. One more quick question. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yes, please. A couple months in the past, I was a little confused between yourself or Ed Martin, and I knew in 2010 Ed Martin had a fantastic approach and almost beat in his district as a Republican. And in my area, I'm in district for Todd Aitken. But anywhere as a simple average myself, we know, myself, I know that you are in charge as not a candidate between those two, but let it be known, Ed had a incredible ability and almost won, get some marketing via Ed and use his momentum for you, what happened in the past with that, because he did very well with that. Get marketing with him on your side by side with Ed Martin and with you. Clearly let the average people know that you are in charge as the one Republican against the Democrat, and maybe even have Todd on one side and the other side with Ed, and clearly state what you're after, and let the average people understand who's right around the corner for you.
I appreciate that very much, and I worked so hard for Ed in 2010. I chaired Roy Blunt's U.S. Senate campaign, but I worked hard for Ed also, and he had a great grassroots team and network that we're trying to work hard to emulate also. I'm very happy that Ed, and I think it's in the best interest of the state and the future governance of this state, that he's decided to run for Attorney General.
Yes.
And it's fabulous, and I support him in that effort. I believe he's going to be supportive in my effort here in the 2nd District, and we're going to see each other up at Lincoln Days. We've emailed back and forth. We haven't had a chance to sit down and talk things out, but I want to support him. Taking on Chris Conster for Attorney General is a very, very, very important race and thing that has to be done, because this guy is going to end up being a future leader and governor of this state or beyond if we do not stop him now. So I'm pleased that Ed has really decided to go on and at the statewide level, and we're going to do whatever we can to help him and the others up and down the ticket. It's absolutely key, and I will do everything that I can to harness that grassroots effort that Ed did such a good job of working together to work together.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, Ann.
Thank you. You're always great. Good luck in your caucuses. I know you're going to talk about caucus politics now and things. March 17th is key, and then you'll have to make it to your congressional conventions too in April, state conventions. All those things are important. Let your voice be heard, and this is the year to make a difference. So thank you, Rich. Thank you, Frida, for what you're doing. Thank you, Bob. And thanks to you all. And come on, kid, I'm going to go buy him a steak. So and maybe some veggies. Thank you all. I'll let you carry on. Take care.
Okay.
Huh? Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, well, it's pretty amazing that filing for the office hasn't even begun yet. This has been going on since last April, so it'll be interesting to see how our campaign evolves after she's an official candidate, and it will be also interesting to see what opponents she actually has. Everything I hear is that Russ Carnahan's going to run in the against Lacey Clay. He's not going to come out here. So I don't know who it's going to be. There'll be somebody. We know that. But I think we just saw the next congressman from the 2nd Congressional District. So it's pretty exciting. Okay. Is this my turn now to talk about the caucuses? Is that where
You
we're
have to ask the
going?
committee woman, I don't know.
Rita,
I would like to make
would
some
you like to
comments.
make some comments now?
Yes.
Before
Yes,
I,
is that
okay,
okay?
that's fine, yes. You can say we've scripted this very carefully.
Hi, everybody. I've talked to this group before, when I talked about my map project, but today, I want to introduce myself as the committee woman for the Jefferson Township. Kathleen Ferris has been your committee woman for many years, and she has done a wonderful job. But she's moved on, so I want to thank Rich for giving me the opportunity to serve as your committee woman, and I appreciate that he thought of me. Let me explain why I think it's important to serve in this function. Thomas Jefferson has expressed in his letters and writings after he left office that our federal and state governments must be divided into wards and precincts, and the people in those small districts make the rules by which they wish to be governed. I think we have all gotten away from that, but it's important that we get back to local governance. The freedoms we enjoy in the United States can be lost in one generation. And me serving as a committee woman is my way to get back to local governance and taking pride in what we do at the local level. So my intent is to get involved and get the people of the township involved. It is important that all of us start to get more informed, understand what goes on at the local level in all of the various governments and entities that run our lives, and not let elected officials do as they please, but make sure they do what we, the people, want. So I hope that over time I can encourage people to be more active in the governance of their public and political affairs, and we all be better for it. Thank you for listening to me. I'll be fighting for this position at the appropriate time, and I hope you will vote for me in August. Thank you.
Well, that was very nice. No, it was very well done. I think Kathleen Ferris has literally moved. She lives in Lincoln County now, so, and that's, I think we honor her service, not only as committee woman, because she served in that committee, she toiled in the vineyards for many years before she, her opportunity to become state rep came when Emmy McClellan stepped aside. So it's been a position that's been occupied by some very accomplished people, and so you got big shoes to fill. But based on that speech, I think you'll be able to fill them. It is kind of
Because Frida's knocked on a lot of doors.
knocked down a lot of doors. Yeah.
She's the definition of grassroots.
Right. Yeah. We like door to door in Jefferson Township. There's no better way to learn your community than to go door to door for a candidate. I sincerely mean that. It's better if you have something else to do in your life, but it's still a good experience. All right. I'm going to talk very briefly about the process that we're about to undertake, and that's basically the road to the state convention. Okay. Every 4 years we have a state convention. This year it's going to be in Springfield, and it'll be the first week in June.
June 1st and 2nd,
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
So we have a process where it's, I like to refer to it as a road. Okay, the first step in the road is the local caucus, okay? And that's gonna be here for the Jefferson Township group on March 17th at 10 a.m. And the purpose of that, that caucus will be to select, and I believe it's actually 13 alternates, 13 delegates. They recounted because they changed the township boundaries. It will either be 13 or 14, but the state committee sent something out the other day. It would be 13. And really what we want to do is we want to have those delegates and alternates identified in advance, and we want all of you that come to our meetings and support us to come to this meeting, because it is important who the delegates are. Everybody knows that this election that just took place was a non-binding process, okay, and that while Rick Santorum won, that is not going to be binding upon the delegates from Missouri to the National Convention. Does everybody understand that? The caucus here, okay, is not, we're not going to be selecting, a candidate, all right? Now, you may make your decision as to who you want to be a delegate or an alternate based upon who they support, okay? But we are not going to be, selecting a candidate at that process. That process, we're just going to be selecting alternates and delegates, okay? And I think some of you were here 4 years ago, and we had a group, fortunately a minority of people that wanted to take over our caucus to support a specific candidate, which is their right, okay? But, we have to be, we have to understand that if we allow a group that, it doesn't, that we don't agree with to take over the caucus, all of those votes for the person that we don't agree with are going to move forward onto the Congressional District Convention. And it's at the Congressional District Convention that 3 delegates and 3 alternates to the National Convention are going to be selected. And those delegates are going to be committed on the first ballot to a specific candidate. Does everybody understand so far? Okay. So you're picking alternates and delegates to go to the Congressional District Convention, which is occurring
April
in
21st. April 21st.
April 21st.
Somewhere here in the 2nd Congressional, but we've not
Probably,
identified a site yet.
Yeah, we're going to look at Kirkwood High School, and that's something we have to work on. But it's at that process, it's at that level where we're actually going to be picking delegates who are going to be committed to candidates, okay? So everybody understand that? Because everybody reads about the Iowa caucuses, and at the end of the day, they have their caucuses. At the end of the day, they know who's won and so on. These caucuses are not that. This process is not like that. So each of the congressional district conventions will pick three delegates and 3 alternates, and then at the state convention, there will be another 28 at-large delegates selected, okay? And the alternates and delegates that we're selecting here on March 17th, they're not only going to be delegates and alternates to the Congressional District Convention, but also they will be delegates to the state convention, okay? And we encourage all of you to attend as many of those conventions as you can. Are there any questions that I probably won't be able to answer? Okay.
question. Is there like a flow chart of some kind that I can look at to see what you're talking about? I do better with pictures.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had a whiteboard right now, you know, because it would help a little bit, but
Does
you know,
any of our
basically-
material in the packet have such a flow chart, Beth or Frida?
I have a flyer on the back table
Mhm.
with different websites
with a
and
website.
videos that people can look
That's
at.
good, yeah.
And
That's
I
good.
might send that out in an email so they can just click on it. They don't have to type it on.
Anybody
What-
who's here tonight that isn't on our email list, we'd like to get you on if you want to receive notices of our meetings and events. So make sure that you sign the sign-up sheet in the back. If you're already getting our emails, obviously you're already on our list.
To participate in our caucus on March 17th, you're going to have to be a registered voter in Jefferson Township, okay? So if you hear about people that are, you know, coming from, you know, let's say North County, and they want to try to take over our caucus here, they're not going to be able to do it because you have to be a registered voter in this township
And a registered Republican.
and a Republican. You're gonna have to swear to your status as a strong and faithful Republican. Greg?
Rich, have the boundaries of the township changed?
Yeah, they have. Basically, what's happened is the boundaries have now taken in Oakland.
So how far east does it go?
How far east does it go? It takes in, you know, all of Webster. It's pretty much the same.
Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury, yeah. Yeah, you live in Shrewsbury. Yeah, it's,
You can also check on that card that was just mailed out.
Right.
just trying to think. Yeah, well, people have gotten cards for what?
Voter identification
Voter
cards.
It just went
identification
out.
cards.
It says
yeah.
your township
Township,
and precinct
right.
on it.
Yeah, I would say it's just basically, you know, Oakland, and then, you know, maybe some of the North Webster Park got cut out. But it's not really material.
Who draws the line?
The Board of Election Commissioners,
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, they draw them, and as a matter of fact, they have them on their website. Just for your information, we are now Glendale. We have a lot of Glendale people here. If the state legislative map is upheld, we will now be in the Kirkwood district. So that's a very significant move that now Glendale will be in the state representative district with Kirkwood as opposed to with Webster. Which
So,
I always thought
And Rick
maybe
Stream would
Rick
Yes,
Stream will
Rick
be
Stream is
running in the
now-
90th, it's the new 90th,
Okay.
it's the new 90th district, so that was pretty, and actually I advocated for that change. I always thought Glendale should be part of the Kirkwood district because it's mostly in the Kirkwood School District. And I think that's not going to change in all of this process that's going on. Interestingly, though, it's still a 49% district, which means it's, you know, it teeters. So even the new 90th will be, you know, not a slam dunk. Rick Stream will be the candidate because he has one more term left, and he'll be running as the Republican candidate in the new 90th district, which is Glendale and Kirkwood. I can't tell you what Charles, do you know what the Webster Groves district is? Do you know the number?
It goes,
With the
well, I
number.
mean, it cuts down into after, no, you're talking about Republican, Democrat?
No,
No,
just
the
the
number of the
What's the
state
number?
rep district.
Oh, no, I don't.
You don't know the number of the new district?
74th, maybe?
Okay, could be,
I'm not sure.
could be. You know, to basically simplify this caucus situation as much as possible, we need you here on March 17th at 10 a.m., okay? We need you.
Not
here.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
We gotta,
Well,
we gotta close
you
the
gotta-
door.
Yeah, well, the doors close at 10, okay? So we need all of you here. Otherwise, we have to go out and call you and beg you to come, okay? So that we have sufficient numbers to keep control of our caucus, okay?
One question, can I back up just a minute? What were you asking about? I'm in the Webster ward, is that what you're,
Let me see.
you got all the little numbers?
Well, you live in Glendale.
Yeah.
Across the street from me.
Yeah.
It is, well, you may think about
Is it what you're asking for on there? It says it up in the upper.
Yeah, in Jefferson Township. Yeah, all of Glendale has been,
You were
Jefferson
asking
Township.
for a number there.
Oh, no,
State rep district.
for Webster, yeah.
No, it's not.
I know what it is, I know what it is for Glendale. I mean,
Where-
which is 90.
Okay.
That's the new number.
I have 91,
That's because
That's
that's
the
what it
old
was
number.
before.
so now we're 90.
We're 90.
Do you need assistance with that meeting in terms of whether it's checking people in against that
Yeah.
voter roll? I mean, is
Yeah,
there any-
what kind of help do we need?
I don't know, ask Frida and Beth. Do we need more than what the people that we've already kind of got that are managing it?
We could probably use extra help.
To check
Check
in.
in
Right.
Because we have to verify
with a laptop. We'll
that
have-
the people are
Right.
registered.
What happened the last time, just so you understand, and I know Susan was here, and others, there was a group of people that hadn't been supporting or involved with Jefferson Township, wanted to come in and take over for the purpose of supporting Ron Paul. So if you all like Ron Paul, well, then, you know, we don't have anything to worry about. But I think a lot of people feel that he's not a candidate that can win. I'm not saying he doesn't have some good ideas, he's just not a candidate that can win. So what we want to do is we want to put together a slate of people that will support the winning candidate. And I'm going to say one thing more, and then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to say that I got on board with Ann Wagner right from the beginning, right when she asked me to be her treasurer, because she's a winner, okay? And that's what you got to think about. Who is going to win, okay? You can say, you know, you can like somebody and be attracted to them as a candidate and agree with their views. You know, and Ed Martin, for example, okay? You know, when he was running for Congress, you know, people, or in this district, you know, people say, well, you know, I like Ed. You know, but is he going to win? That's the thing you have to ask yourself. Maybe he would have. I don't know. He's out of the picture right now. But my point is that through this process, you know, we want people who are going to be looking at this not only from the standpoint of do I agree with this candidate, but can he beat Barack Obama in November of this year? Or I believe it's this year. So that's the way I look at it. Hopefully, you know, you kind of agree with that yourselves.
Is there a defined duty, Rich, of a delegate in terms of the vote? You know,
No, you just show up.
Yeah. In terms of the previous vote, you know, if
Our slate, we're gonna vote among the slate members, right? For who,
Well-
once we get to the,
Well, once we get through everything,
Yeah.
but all we have to do on March 17th here is select a slate of 13 delegates and 13 alternates, and that's it. Now, once we do all that, we thought it might be fun to have a straw poll, do something fun like that. But it's not going to be the purpose isn't to, caucus, get together and then, okay, well, we got 10 Santorum votes and 15 Romney votes, that's not what it's going to be. We just want to get that slate selected, and then we can have some fun, have some straw poll, and then enjoy St. Patrick's Day. Okay, Frida, do you have anything for the good of the order?
No, I just, like I said, I have a handout that you can look things up, how the caucuses work, and some videos.
All right.
John Judd did an excellent video. I don't know if anybody has seen it.
Well, that's on Charter, though. That show is on Charter with Lee Presser.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I don't get Charter, but
Well,
if you
you
get
can-
Charter.
You can just call,
Oh,
look
you
it up on,
can get it on the
Yeah,
Uber, okay.
you can get it on YouTube.
It's
It's
just a
out there.
little bit easier, harder to get to, right?
Well, if I send you the link, you just click on it and it comes up.
Okay, all right, good.
But he walks you through that whole
Yeah.
process.
Well,
It's
John Judd's very good.
very informative.
Yeah.
And he is probably one of the more knowledgeable people in St. Louis County about the caucus process.
Well, that's because that's.
Not
all he
taking
does.
anything away from anybody, but
Don't give him too much credit.
he explains it very well.
He does. He's a close personal friend of mine. But, I mean, that's all he does all day long, so.
Right.
So don't put him up on too big a pedestal. Okay, unless anybody has anything else, we're cutting into our social time. So we invite you back for some wine and cheese. And for some reason, I feel like I'm missing something.
Is there anything else? Anyone else? Questions?
Yeah, no, I think people are ready for the social
I think
hour.
so.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for coming.
No, Beth doesn't know. What? That's it?
I'm assuming that those who got the correct
In the county office, right? Now,
So he'll be fine.
because we have these 13 people on the list, right?